I was delusional enough to think that I was in control. And then
Me
when I was
too.
fully out of control.
Me too, baby. Me too. And I say it with all the love in my heart, right?
Oh, man.
Sometimes you gotta get hit by a car to realize you're not in charge. You know, like.
You guys, you would not believe how excited I am for this week's guest. I have been following Alison Faulkner for years, watching her go from epic dance parties to launching Alison's brand school to writing her 2022 book, You're Already Awesome. But here's the thing. Alison is so much more than the joy and the glitter that she puts into the world. She's also been through some wild plot twists in her life that have required her to pivot in ways that she never expected. Through it all, Alison has been this incredible beacon of honesty and authenticity. She's got this deep well of wisdom, not just about branding or how to throw a fantastic event, but about the kind of mindset shifts that remind you that nothing external can give you worth or value. You already have it. You're already awesome. So today, Alison's giving us the pep talk that the world desperately needs, that you are needed exactly as you are, and that every way you show up, big or small, actually matters, like truly matters. I absolutely adore Alison, and I cannot wait for you to hear her work, her mindset magic on me in real time. It might be the most emotionally vulnerable thing I've done on this podcast to date. And then also, fair warning, Alison and I were so excited to start chatting that we went from 0 to 60 in about half a second. There's no polite intros, there's no easing in, there's just a whole lot of laughter and then deep talk right out of the gate. So buckle up.
I'm here. I am your pawn. Move me around the board, Mom. I love it. Feels good.
Okay, Alison, tell me something that you are into right now.
I'm going to show you, but I also will verbally describe it.
Yes.
Is I've been bedazzling this star.
That is gorgeous.
I've been working on it for over a year. It's kind of like a visual representation of what I've been into, and what you can kind of start to see happening behind me is I'm very into divine organization is what I call it, because if it was regular organization, that would be boring and confusing. But if there's an aspect of the magical and the spiritual, I'm interested. And so it's divine organization in that I know where everything is. And so I've been really into this idea and this concept of I am taking complete ownership of every inch of my life, every inch of my home, every inch of my space, every inch of my body. So like knowing what I have, knowing where it is, and then trying to use what I already have is what I'm really into.
I love that. I love that because it has like, there's the visual we can see, that beautiful bedazzled star, but then like all the explanation. So mine is definitely not that deep.
Oh, yes, it is. Give it to me.
I am a Swiftie. I love me some Taylor Swift. I love some Showgirl. The song Father Figure is in my head on a loop. Have you listened to it?
I am not against Taylor in any way, shape, or form. I think I respect her. I defend her. I actually get very defensive of her. However, I tend to not be at all that interested in a lot of her music. Now, and I don't say that like as I'm better. No, I went to Benson Boone. I live for the pop. The only new song I've heard is, I think, Wood.
Oh my gosh.
We'll just leave it at that. So,
you know
of
what?
course, the only song I would have heard is that one because people have sent it to me going, I think you're going to like it.
Oh my gosh. I played it for my husband and his reaction, he looks at me like, Father Figure, love it. So that is my homework for you, is to put it on, to listen to it. It's really good. But if you have your little people around, listen to the clean version. Just leave it at that. So that's something I love. But so now that we've confessed our obsessions, I want to get into it. To the person who's listening, what would you want them to take away from this episode?
What I would want people to take away from this episode is how incredibly, insanely powerful they are with so little effort, actually. In that you think when I say you're powerful and you can make a difference, that you have to go do some huge hard thing and change and become different. But when I'm saying we need you and you can make a difference and you're powerful, what I'm saying is you're powerful when you show up with peace. You're powerful when you show up with forgiveness. You're powerful when you show up at the gas station with a little more patience for the people who are bumping up next to you. Your presence, your energy, all of it matters. It doesn't even have to be good all the time, but you can make a difference. Knowing that and owning that and taking ownership for it, it radically changes my behavior. It gives me a sense of responsibility where I'm like, I can make a difference. I'm not just a cog in the system. We don't trust the government. We don't trust religion. We don't trust anything anymore. We don't trust the internet. We're trusting AI, but we don't trust each other. And so what I really would want to shout from the rooftops is trust yourself. You make a difference. Trust those instincts to do good. Trust those instincts to share your talents. We need you. You make a freaking difference, and we need you.
Thank you. That is the perfect message. I am so excited for everybody to hear it. Alison, people who don't know you already, I wonder if you could take like just a few minutes to kind of go down the journey of your life for the past, 15 years, because it has been a journey. Can you kind of share some?
Sure. I've been sharing online in one form or another, honestly, like let's mark it 2006. And that was about the year people started, having personal blogs. And I wasn't married and I felt like I wasn't allowed to have one because that made me a narcissist who's obsessed with myself if I had a blog and I wasn't like married and showing kids. This shows how different things are now, right? Yeah. Like 20 years later, cut to, it's an actual job, right? So I started blogging and I loved it. And I come from the world of advertising, marketing. I did an internship at Hallmark Cards. I've always been writing captions. I was telling my kids last night when we were driving down I-15, I was like, I've been rewriting billboards since I was like elementary school. Like I look at billboards and I rewrite them in my head and I think it should be like this,
So it was an early calling, a very early calling.
It like really like a copywriter. It's taken me time to understand this, but like I just love people. And like of course I've always known I love people, but like what I realized like what is, I feel like a gift because I'm realizing not everybody feels this way, is I am genuinely, truly delighted, interested, curious about everyone. Every single person.
That's wonderful, though. That's so wonderful. Probably sometimes exhausting for your family to be like, stop making friends, Alison, let's go.
Like I was a few minutes late getting here because I started chatting with someone in the gas station. I was like, oh shoot, I gotta go. And so I both love people, but I'm also very confused that people seem confused by me because I think I'm just regular. So I bring all of that up to say I love writing, I love people, I love trying to figure out like what everybody's thinking and doing and like understand it. And so I started blogging and doing essay writing, and I was like, I can put love in the world. I'm allowed to do it if I put love in the world, right? Like I had to give myself permission based on something altruistic, which again, depending on where you're at in your life, you're like, well, of course you did. You don't actually have to, by the way, just for whoever's listening.
You could put whatever you want in the world, but that was your permission.
Because you're just a worthy human. Aside from that, I told myself I was allowed to have a blog if it put love in the world. However, it also really helped me create a strong sense of mission, a strong sense of brand. And even though I was doing a lot of different types of writing or sharing, sometimes crafts I'd make, recipes I'd make, thoughts I had about Diet Coke. So I started, my blog was She Blogs, She Blogs. And I worked at an ad agency, and then I was a freelance copywriter. Then I started having kids. And then when I was pregnant with our second child, my husband lost his job. We lost our insurance, and I had been blogging, and I think Instagram had hit the scene. And my friend Susan Peterson from Freshly Picked, she had a blog, and she was like, hey, you should get on Instagram. I was like, no, I'm not even on Facebook. I have too many ex-boyfriends, and it's just like not. And she's like, no, I think it would be really good for you to get on Instagram. So I was like, okay. And you're sitting there, you're nursing babies. I'm stuck at home, feeling like I'm gonna absolutely lose my mind, calling my husband crying every day by noon. When are you coming home? The stay-at-home mom life has been a rough journey for me, if
Yeah.
and when I try to do it. And when he lost his job, he had an offer from a competing company, but I had started to grow my audience and I had some ideas for ways to monetize. And I just was like, hey, you should do your music and I'm going to make a bunch of money. I'll go do that. And, I did. Now, in what capacity and to what detriment to my body?
Yeah,
But
to what end? Like,
yeah, to what end? So, along the way, I did lots of different things. For a period of time, I did all women's dance parties.
I am so sad I never got to go to
They're
one.
so good.
I
But
know they did not. They were
no,
not what filled your cup, but
they did. They just also were, I didn't have the team, the coping. So, like, it did fill my cup. It lit me up. It gave me so much energy. I never slept. And I could only sustain it for so long. And those were wildly popular. I was at the right time, right place in the Wild West of Instagram. I worked with companies doing brand consulting. And then I transitioned out of doing dance parties because I wanted everybody to know I was smart. Like, that's legit it. Like,
you're
I was
like, I can't be smart if I'm doing a dance party.
well, no, like, people just thought that I just was like cute and fun and popped out and danced like a little monkey when they
Yeah.
snapped their fingers, is what it felt like.
You had to be Elle Woods and go to law school.
Yeah, I had a lot to prove to all of the men in startup culture of Provo, Utah. I had to go in there and show that I was just as savvy, just as ahead of the curve, and they needed me. I didn't need them. And guess what? It was true. But
Yeah, you had massive success.
yeah, and I did Allison's brand school where I was able to take my way of doing things, which is you start with your why, you connect your core human needs. I used a lot of psychology, a lot of philosophy, a lot of actually like mindfulness, Eastern philosophies. Even like now I look back, I use somatic healing modalities, energy work, all in these workshops to help people, which I tricked them because it was business, right?
But it didn't feel like business. That's the trick.
That was the trick. I was like, no, we're going to talk about your business. Feeling.
And it worked.
And it worked, and it was so fun, and it was so great. And so I transitioned from doing dance parties for about 5 years and overnight stopped doing dance parties. In 2016, started a podcast, Awesome with Allison. Again, I'm so smart. I really felt this call to speak. And I was like, well, I'm already speaking. But there was something about podcasting and podcasting with my husband that was just really special. He's an audio musician person. So we did the podcast. I did the branding workshops. I had a private coaching program membership every month, new themes, new printables, downloads, calendars, courses, business courses. I had branding coaches who I wrote like 100-page curriculum for Allison's brand school. I also have worked a lot as a keynote speaker. So taking that blend of personal development, business development, and then also people hire speakers because you're a little energy infusion. And so I really, really love and still love speaking, but it also just, I would be so sick with anxiety that it would just wreck me. A lot like the dance parties too, and even before the brand workshops. So I just want to make it like really clear, like I was having an anxiety attack before I did everything. And then I would have anxiety attacks after I did everything.
But nobody knew. They probably just saw you and were like, hashtag boss babe.
But I told everybody all the time. I said it all the time. And that's what's crazy.
Did they believe you? Or were they like, you were just nervous?
Yeah, well, because here's the thing. It wasn't like I was performing and pretending to be happy and enjoy it. I was genuinely enjoying it. I just also couldn't regulate my system and live life. And I think the way that people can relate to it, if it feels abstract for them, is it's like grief or sorrow or anger or any other emotion that you carry throughout the day. There's your social life and your private life. You right? There's the inner world and your outer world. And I think the reason why I'm always so fascinated with people is I've always had like a lot going on in my head. And I was always looking around like, do other people have all this going on inside their head? Just trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
And so all of that brings us to when I did the brand workshop, it was a really cool experience because I was also teaching a lot of personal development, got really into mindfulness, really bringing in a lot of those practices, talking about them on my podcast. And I really was able to heal a lot of things so that everything didn't take such a huge toll. Where I was like, I want to have this big life. I want to do these big things. What do I need to do so that I can actually do them? For better or worse, right as things were starting to crescendo at the end of 2017, I got hit by a car while I was on a run.
A gratitude run. A gratitude run. I remember this.
It was thank you. It was a gratitude run.
Like this all the wonderful things I have in my life, and then
and then like was on a run and got hit, broken vertebrae and ribs. And then within a few months, I was already back up teaching workshops.
Were you ready at all? Or were you just like, it's time?
Like the workshops were really good and I needed to make money and I needed to work. I think I needed to work more than anything else in terms of like my brain had to keep busy, which again is like just back to that nervous system dysregulation. Like I just learned this from Elizabeth Gilbert. Boredom is like a sign of anxiety.
Just because you're unsettled, it's uncomfortable.
If you can't just sit and be, your system's dysregulated.
That's probably me. Because when I just sit and do nothing, I feel antsy. Like I have to be doing something, whether it's folding laundry. I freaking am dysregulated.
We all are. We all are. Like just period. And really the reason why it's such a huge point of conversation and necessary point of conversation is because the smartphones and the socials and the technology, the dysregulation that they add on top of everything else. Like let's take your generational trauma, let's take your family trauma, your life trauma. All of that's just going to make you a human. Now let's add your attention span, your focus is being interrupted every 5 seconds. No wonder you can't sit and just look out the window with a cup of tea.
My husband, he loves to meditate. He does a great job. I mean, it's been something that he's very much like put in lots of effort for it to be a meaningful thing to him. I've tried to meditate and I'm just like, what am I doing? Like how? I can't access
like
that.
Like a gratitude walk though?
No, I probably should.
I'm just saying it's a good first step because asking you to meditate is like asking someone with a broken leg to go run a 5K. And I don't mean to compare like your brain to a broken leg, but like
it is.
It is. There's the Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, and it's an old time Zen book. And the example that they give is if your mind was a person, it would not be able to cross the street without getting hit by a car because it couldn't keep its attention that long. Mm-hmm. Right? So you think of it that way and you're like, that tracks.
I'm honestly, truly. Yes. And I'm pretty sure my husband has that book on his bookshelf in his office. Like I've seen it. Have not opened it, of course, but
the reason why I suggest like just a gratitude walk is again, it's not about like sitting down and this is what I've learned. So 2020 hit, it changed the landscape of everything. I eventually had to let most of my employees go. All of the speaking engagements, I had decided to pivot my business model entirely around speaking. I had a whole year of speaking booked out for 2020 and it was all canceled. Well, also in 2020, I got a book deal.
Which is so cool.
It was so cool. But it was also when the world was shutting down. I think it was at the end of 2019 and the world was shutting down and my business was shutting down and I was committed to write this book about being awesome. And everyone was getting canceled on the internet and culture was exploding and there was civil unrest. So I wrote a book and then I ghosted the internet.
Yeah, I remember seeing you you were a regular presence on my socials. I would see what you're up to and you had a new podcast or whatever. And then it was, oh, I haven't seen her in a while. So you ghosted the internet. Was this while you were writing the book, after you wrote the book?
No, it was after I wrote the book. Writing the book was a beautiful process, but also when you sit down and you create like a chronological narrative of your life, it brings up a few thoughts.
It stirred everything you had up.
It brings up a few memories that maybe you blocked and didn't know were in there, right? It brings up like trauma. It brings up every insecurity, everything that you've ever worried about ever. And so I got really sick, and my body just started doing a lot of weird things. And I look back and, I try not to regret things. I did the best I could. I wish that I had had either the understanding or the capacity. I'm not sure which it is. Because maybe I had the understanding, but I didn't have the capacity. Maybe I had the capacity, but I didn't get how important this is. But there were a lot of people who had invested and been with me for a long time. And I wish that I could have better communicated to them instead of like ghosting them. At the time, I think I probably felt like, why do I owe everybody everything? Because I was like pretty taxed. And there are definitely people that deserve that attitude, who treated me like a commodity. But there's way more people who just genuinely cared about me and genuinely were invested in my story, and I care about them, right? So that was like 2021. And then because of COVID, publishing changed. And then my book ended up coming out in 2023. So I toured with that, and it was awesome. And I started my podcast up for a little bit, and I started doing some consulting work, and basically over the last like several years have tried in every way possible to decide if I want to build a career that doesn't involve showing up on the internet on a regular basis.
Okay. You started in one place, now you want it in a very different place.
But unfortunately, Chrissi, here's what I've learned. If I genuinely want to share like the talents and skills that I've spent 20 years, a lifetime cultivating, I got to be with people. I've been doing a lot of coaching, and I freaking love it. I love it so much, because all of these people that there was a one-way conversation with for so long, me to them, over the last like 3 or 4 years, I've gotten to hear their stories. And they tell me how my story was a part of their story. And it's like, why do I even get to be that lucky? That's so cool. I'm at Benson Boone last night, and a girl told me she liked my book, and I almost started crying. I was like, you read my book? Like,
I love it. Because it's like, what feedback do you get really from like the person who you don't meet in person? You get a like on a post, you get a comment on a post, but actually the coaching and you really getting that back and forth.
Yeah.
I think that's probably so wonderful.
It has been, and I think that has helped me remember why I have so much fun having fun with people, whether it's through sharing a podcast or talking about my skin problem, or whether it's about talking about, how semi-abusive my 9-year-old diva is to me, like, at the end of the day, there's a lot of different ways to make a career and to make a career online. And I have a personality and that does well for online. However, I've realized when I try to make the business and monetization about like me as a character, I'm not really very interested in it. I love teaching, and I love connecting, and I love learning. And so moving forward, that's what I'm hoping to let myself just focus on. And that was a really long answer.
I loved every part of it.
Oh, sorry. That was so long.
Alison, this is your story. This is your story.
And I think the thing to remember too, and what I try to tell myself is, because I feel like I just got like self-conscious. I was like, oh my God, right? And I just like want other people to realize like, it's not comfortable for everybody else. We're not all out here doing this, like feeling really comfortable doing it. Chrissi does not feel super comfortable, right? Like,
then why do we do it? It's not because I'm, like a narcissist who just likes to see my face on a camera. No, that's not it.
Even if you did like to see your face on a camera, good on you. Good on you. Love your face. Love your expressions. If Jim Carrey right? Like these character actors like Parker Posey. Oh, Jennifer Coolidge. If Jennifer Coolidge had not spent hours like mastering the comedic faces that she makes and letting herself have those expressions, the world would not be as rich and wonderful.
It's true. It's true. Try to do that, AI.
Well, they probably will, but still, yeah.
It won't be as good.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, seeing the journey that you've been on and seeing kind of the full circle in a lot of ways and the growth and the process, I'm sure that it's not always comfortable for you to share, but like knowing it has been helpful for me. It has been very, very helpful to see that it hasn't been just this rosy, like, oh, I just landed at the top of the mountain. Seeing the journey there and seeing the detours and the unexpected paths and seeing that it's like, okay, 20 years ago, I wouldn't have seen myself here. You know, I would have seen myself over there. And seeing just kind of the amazing growth. And it's like, you are exactly where you need to be, which really goes into what I want to chat about, which is like, there's so many times where I feel like I'm not doing it right, or it's not going the way I planned, and so I must be doing it wrong. And I know I'm not the only one, and especially at this age, being 40, having kind of this midlife shift, if you will. Yeah. But now I'm just like, am I doing it right? Why are things feeling uncomfortable? Why are things feeling difficult? Why is it not moving the smooth, amazing path that, you know, I would like it to? When that I'm not doing it right voice starts to spiral, like, how do you reframe or reset yourself? Because that's something that I'm having a hard time with.
So because... 1, I love you. And 2, I think you'll play with me. And 3, things are always better in application than in the abstract, right? Will you give me an example of like a specific thing? Because when I think that I'm not doing something right or things aren't working out the way they're supposed to, there's a lot of different reframes that I can do. But like, let's put one in application, right?
Okay, right now, like we can.
So can I use you? Yeah, let's use you. Just because then people can hopefully copy the process for themselves. So I'll ask you questions and then they can ask themselves questions. Does that sound good?
Cool. Yeah, let's do it.
Thanks for playing, Chrissy. So how is that question, like when is that question showing up for you, or that feeling?
I'm not doing it right. Let's talk about the podcast, this brand new baby podcast, dang it. That's what's top of mind. I feel like, okay, there's the podcast that I followed forever, and everybody has gone their climb up cringe mountain or the difficulty or whatever. When I'm in it myself, though, it's like, okay, I don't know how these people experience the beginning of something new, a new adventure, a new pursuit, but for me, it doesn't feel shiny and glamorous. So I must be doing something wrong. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah. Okay. So that's so good. So I like how you said it doesn't feel shiny and glamorous. And also, I want you to think like very specifically. Does that thought pop up when you're just walking from room to room? Does that thought pop up when you see something? Does that thought pop up when it's time to do a certain task? Like, how are you carrying that thought?
That thought pops up when I put things out there and I'm just like, oh, I love this. I'm proud of this. I'm excited for this. And then I think what so many people do, there are millions of things that I see on the internet that I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's cool. Do I interact with it or whatever? No, but does that mean I don't like it? No. Yeah. But it's like, okay, realizing what I'm working through is I'm trying to figure out that I don't need external validation to like feel like I'm doing it right, maybe.
So you already got there, right? But now here's where the disconnect happens, and where I think most people, especially people like you and I and women our age, stop. We go, oh, I shouldn't need external validation, period. Right? So it's like, okay, so I'm going to go work on being able to feel confident within myself. I don't need any external validation. Okay, so now you're dealing with a difficult feeling. You're feeling emotional. You're feeling like you're not doing anything right. And your solution in response to it is give yourself another thing to do that feels impossible. Yes or no?
Great. Yes, okay, absolutely.
Right? Okay. So then what I would do if this were me is I would go, and this is all new. like in the last like 5 years for me, this is like what I call this really compassionate, curious voice. And it's been so awesome being able to go through this and learn this for myself. And then when I work with people, share it, where I go, okay, so this is the question. Let's just say that your podcast wasn't good, right? It was just mediocre. What's the worst thing someone could say about your podcast?
That it was stupid.
Okay, that it was stupid. So what if your podcast is stupid? What does that mean about you as a human being, Chrissi? If your podcast is stupid.
Am I stupid? If the thing that I work on and put my efforts in is considered stupid to other people, well then what does that say about me?
Yeah. So you can see why it feels really urgent that you solve this problem of I'm missing something, like I'm doing this wrong, I shouldn't be here, it shouldn't feel like this. It becomes really urgent within your body and your mind, because if you don't solve it, it means that you could potentially be stupid. If you're a stupid person, what will happen?
Then I just wasted my time and energy and efforts and creativity, and for what?
And if you waste time, what does that mean about you? And not from this resourced, logical, I read books and I'm an educated individual. I'm talking to like, and this is what I do with myself. This is what I do with anyone as I go, I'm talking to the 13-year-old Chrissi. I'm talking to the 15-year-old, the 21-year-old, the 22-year-old. I'm not talking to you in this beautiful lilac sparkle glory, because she cognitively knows that she is safe and loved and not stupid, even if a podcast doesn't do well.
Yeah.
But she's not the one causing the problem. I don't want to talk to her. She's beautiful. I love her. But this is not about her. This is about the little unconscious part of you that believes that if you are seen or perceived as stupid, you are a waste of time. You are a waste of space.
Yeah.
And if you are wasting time and space, what does that mean for that version of you?
Like worthless.
Now, with so much compassion, take just a minute to think about how scary and hard that feels.
It's terrible.
Yeah. But instead of feeling it, because it's really uncomfortable to feel, right?
Yeah.
And it's always related to an old wound. So it's hidden deep in there, and it's just not fun. It brings up so much. So instead of feeling that, our bodies, our minds are like, well, if I'm wrong, I can make myself right. You just gave yourself what, logically is a solvable problem. Or you're reinforcing the story. Either way, you're getting what you want. And you're like, I'm not getting what I want because I'm anxious, but you are getting what you want because you're still showing up and operating out of that sense of validation and achievement and earning. And that's not bad at all. That's not wrong at all. So what I would start to ask myself is, do I think I'm stupid?
No, not at all.
Do you think you're stupid?
No.
So one of your kids, what's a child's name?
Dylan, he's 16.
He's 16. Is Dylan stupid?
Not at all. Brilliant.
What if Dylan is telling you a story that is boring that you do not care about?
I smile and nod and I still love him.
Is he worthless?
No.
Should he have not shown up and tried to tell you a story?
No, I love that he told me a story because I love him.
But also, what does it tell you when Dylan, a 16-year-old boy, volunteers information to you? What does that mean?
That he trusts me and that he's interested. He wants to share. He's excited.
He wants to connect with you. So he's excited. Use some other words that you love about when Dylan tells you something or your husband tells you something. How does that make you feel when they share ideas and thoughts and stories with you?
Well, like you said, I feel connected. I feel like I am important to them, that they would want to share that with me. It's special. It's intimate. It makes me love them more.
I love it. It's always so easy to see for other people than it is for ourselves, right?
Yes.
So then there's the mindset reframe. See, because I can't give you a mindset reframe for me because I'm operating with a completely different set of values, motivators, trauma, obstacles, self-value beliefs, right? But for you, Chrissi, the mindset that might be helpful, and the only way we're going to know is if you try it. And just like any other clothing or pair of shoes you try on, sometimes you buy it and bring it home and it's not a good fit. And that's okay, because you can take it back and try something else. And that's something I would teach at the workshop and I teach in coaching, which is like, let's go ahead and try this. And then if you can't make it work or it's not working for you, it doesn't mean you're a stupid failure. It means it's not the right thing for you right now. So whenever you start to go to that place of whatever brings on the thought, what's usually going on when that I'm doing everything wrong, I'm in the wrong place, I'm not in the right place?
Like after I hit publish on whatever, and I'm just like, okay, the world sees it now.
So once you can't control it anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Which again, makes a lot of sense, because that's what you've been doing your whole life to keep yourself safe.
Is I've been able to control these things.
You never were able to control them, but you told yourself you could.
I was delusional enough to think that I was in control. And then when I was fully out of control.
Me too, baby. Me too. Me too. And I say it with all the love in my heart, right?
Man.
Sometimes you gotta get hit by a car to realize you're not in charge. You know, like. But you do every time you hit publish. So here's what I would do if I were you. And what I hope you would do, because I want you to keep doing this work, right? Yes. After you hit publish, I want you to go, I hope that somebody feels connected. I hope that somebody feels seen. I hope that somebody feels heard. I hope that somebody's entertained. I hope that somebody who was having a crappy day listened and then maybe had a little bit less of a crappy day. And if they think I'm stupid, there's as many versions of you as there are people on this planet. I was telling my kids that at Benson Boone, I was like, because I get very defensive of Benny because his new video, Magical Mystical, it's like, you know, people hating on him. And he's just kind of he's like playing along on people saying he's lame and he's overrated and why does he do so many backflips? And even at his concert, now he's 23 and I would have done and said the same thing. He's like, I know some people think I'm too much and people think I'm a lot. And he said things like that. And I just wanted to be like, you're already awesome, Benny. You're not too much. You're perfect just the way you are. Because, not to put me and Benson Boone in the same category, but I shall. When you have a sparkly personality, it's as Taylor Swift, you know, people like to throw rocks at shiny things. And they'll tell you you're too much. And then we feel like we have to apologize for it. And then all the people come up to me and go, you're so fun. I'm not fun. And they think they're not enough. And I think I'm too much. And at the end of the day, there's as many versions and experiences of Alison or Benson Boone or Chrissi as there are people on the world. Yeah, we can say that and say, oh, that's so great. It doesn't matter what people think about me. No, I want everybody to love me and be obsessed with me. I absolutely do. I absolutely do. I would like to control it. I want everyone to like me. I want everyone to know I have the best intentions. I really do. But then I have to ask myself, do I actually want to be responsible for the agency and autonomy of other people? That sounds stressful to me, man.
I mean, part of me goes back to like the Office where it's like, Michael Scott, do I want to be feared or loved? Like, easy, both, you know?
I literally have the quote because my family bought it for me and it is sitting somewhere in my office.
Like, easy, both.
Both.
But really, no. Like, this resonates with you, take it. If not, blessings on your road.
And so to kind of recap the mindset reframe that like I would take you through, me through, anybody through, is I try to get to, what am I making this mean about me? Is it true? Is it really true? If it's true, then what? If that's true, then what? If that's true, then what? And then we get to that place of we can create a thought, a mantra, an intention, something to put on a mirror, something that you just say before you sit down and record, after you record, a tangible item, a tool, if you will, to use to help when those thoughts creep in. And I had to learn the hard way, it's not about controlling your thoughts. It's not even about managing your thoughts. It's about noticing them and kind of allowing them, allowing the feelings, being aware of them, and getting curious about them. And if you have a thought that you can't let go of, especially a destructive thought, then it might be time to bring somebody else in, right? When you can't do what I just did with you for yourself, then you bring someone else in, whether that's a therapist, a coach, a friend, whatever, whoever can do it for you, right?
But just don't try to take it on yourself. And it's like, obviously, you are not reframing it yourself. Let's get outside eyes, loving eyes.
Yeah. And maybe you can reframe it yourself, right? But I do know that, you know, ADHD, OCD, a dysregulated nervous system. It's crazy because I started medication for ADHD. I've been very poo-poo on medication for ADHD. It's overprescribed, over this, over that. I think the whole internet could have told me that I was ADHD. The thing that has been the craziest is what helps is, and I'm not suggesting that medication fixes everything, because it also does not fix everything, right? Like it can help, but I realized like I'll return to a thought over and over and over, usually a thought that like everyone hates me, or I've messed everything up, or I've done a bad thing. And it's like a compulsive thing for me. So I did need medication. I did need outside help. But what I just tried to do all those years is just like be grateful.
Yeah, like, oh, I have this, or this is going well, or, you know, at least I'm not in the concentration camp. That's like something I remember one time I was saying, like, oh, life is really hard. And I don't know if this happened or if my brain has just said that it's happened. Who knows?
Yeah.
But in my memory, my mom was like, well, at least you're not in a concentration camp. And I'm like,
and
yeah.
That is exactly what we do, is we gaslight our feelings. You are gaslighting yourself. You're not actually that sad.
It could be worse. It could be worse.
You're not actually mad. You're not actually angry. You're not actually grieving, right? You are actually just really kind of an ungrateful princess. So then you go, why would I do that? Well, because you're comfortable with what you know. It's gotten you results that you feel comfortable with up until this point. But if you want things to be different, then you got to take a different approach. And that is what I've had to keep telling myself when I'm like, people used to give me things. People used to hire me for this. People used to do that, right? I thought people liked this about me because I was good at it. Could have been because I was just popular, turns out. I was popular online. I legit asked this guy, it was like 10 years down the road. And I'm like, yeah, why did you reach out to work? Like, we were interviewing him about something. And he literally just goes, because you were popular.
Well, thanks for the.
But guess
give
what?
It to you straight.
I was really naive. And I just was like, I was? And, oh, I didn't know. Like, I was making it so personal and all these things. And it was like, no, you had a lot of eyeballs. I wanted the eyeballs. So we can make whatever stories we want. Everybody's going to have their own story. And it doesn't matter. And I have this written on a mirror in my room right now. And it's a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. And it's, what matters most is that you're proud of the work. What matters most is that you feel good and proud about the work that you put into the world. And another little poster I used to always keep in my room is, your best work is still inside you. I can sit around and think, I got millions and millions and millions of downloads on my podcast. I'll never get that again. You know, people will say things to me like, my mom used to love you. So then I'll be like, oh, used to?
So she doesn't love me anymore.
Your mom, you look like an adult. I'm confused. and I can take that story, and I did do this for several years. The world doesn't need me anymore. They just don't need me. There's other people who can do these things. They don't need me. And so then what, of course, is the message that I feel so, so, so passionate about right now is, we need you.
Yes, the world needs you, just as you are. Not Alison in this way or in that way, but the true Alison.
Yeah, just like we need you, right? Just like we need you, and not some different podcast edit version of you.
And to the person listening, who, you know, like the way that you are showing up in this world, I mean, yes, you have to have some evaluation of like, okay, are you being a good version of yourself? You know, you don't want to like say, oh, the harmful version of myself is what I want to stay at. But like the world needs you just as you are. You don't need to be like this person or that person or the person where you see a very specific version on the internet, which it's tempting because your brain likes to fill in the blanks of, okay,
Yeah.
I see this person, I see this character, and then you
Yeah.
imagine that they're like this always, and that is just how their life is. And that's not true, and that's not real, and it sets you up for these unrealistic expectations. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden who you are doesn't feel like enough. What I appreciate is
Yeah.
you are shouting it from the rooftops, from the airwaves, from the mountaintops. You're enough.
And you're enough even in your most broken, dysregulated, messy, ugly, like you're enough in that state. Some of the connections that I have made have been because I was so broken. It was the only way I was going to let that person in my life. And I wouldn't have that person in my life. And then there are other people, I'm in their life because they lost a loved one or they went through something horrific. A good friend of mine a few years ago just died, just out of the blue. And I didn't know his wife super well. But when I heard he died, I drove to his house. And I was like, this is so dumb, Alison. You don't know her well enough. You're not close enough. But it was almost like you could not stop me. You could not stop me. I knew, and I knew enough to listen to my intuition, and I knew enough to trust myself. She's a grief coach online, and so she'd be comfortable with the story. Her name is Lindsay. And whenever she would see me, she would say, Alison, I'm Lindsay, John's wife. Because she knew that I met so many people all the time. And she wasn't like, oh, you're not going to remember me, or, oh, you think you're so great. She would just run up to me and go, Alison, I'm Lindsay, John's wife, because John and I were such good friends, right? And so I drove to her house, which I found by Eric looking on a map, like on Google, and being like, it's there. Like, this is hours after she's found out her husband has died. She has 4 small kids. And I drove to her house, and I knocked on the door, and she opened the door, and I said, Lindsay, I'm John's friend, Alison. And she's been such a huge blessing to me in these last few years. And I ended up I did the flowers for his funeral. And I went with her to the funeral home. Why me? I don't know. But I was there and we connected. And if Lindsay had decided that she shouldn't receive help or be seen when she was in her biggest grief, I would not have the privilege and the honor to be her friend and to have her in my life, right? And if I hadn't shown up when I was embarrassed because I'd gained a lot of weight, and I was embarrassed because I hadn't really been going out publicly and talking to people, right? There was a million reasons why I felt stupid and embarrassed to do what I did. And so I share that, which is, I don't usually share that story, but I share it because I just think it's really important that people understand there's not a future better version of you that we need. We need whatever version is currently here right now.
The Alison right then is exactly what was needed.
Yeah, and Lindsay, in that moment of her deepest grief, I needed her. I needed her just as much as she needed me. I might have even needed her more at that point in my life, in a way that I didn't even understand. That I needed a sense of purpose. I needed a place to share my talents. I needed someone to go and support so I could get out of my own head. You know? We always want to take our grief and our shame and our ugly pieces to the corner and lick our own wounds in private and not let anybody see it. And I am not a big proponent of sharing all your biggest trauma on the internet in real time. I'm just not. But that doesn't mean there aren't people in your real life that you could share with, right? I think that people are actually more afraid to share with the people in their real life than they are online sometimes.
Yeah, the increased vulnerability.
Yeah, you can, and you can control the narrative.
Yeah, you can say, this is what I want to share, this little thing. But whereas in person, if you're sharing with your loved ones or your friends, you can't just say, oh, you get this little, Yeah.
And so I think it's just so, so important. Like, thank you for reminding me of this. Like, I just really do feel so passionate about people knowing, like, we don't need a different version of you. We don't need a better version of you. We don't need this more healed, enlightened version of you. Work towards it. That's awesome. But even if you don't, we need you in your broken, in your ugly, in your beautiful, in your healed. We need you, right? And I've been shown that over and over, and really am so grateful to have had the story arc so that I can prove it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, no matter where you're at, like, you are needed.
Yeah.
And I'm serious. I mean, I feel like there are probably so many people, whether it's in the biggest way or the smallest way, of just having that reminder of you're needed just as you are, not the more enlightened version or, you know, the more educated version or evolved version or whatever. It's like,
Or the version that has more downloads on her podcast.
oh, it's so true. It's hard to.
Girl, I know. It's so hard. That's why I keep saying good job every time I see anything you do.
I know, you're so supportive. You're the most supportive, like, wonderful, wonderful. I'm so grateful for you. Oh,
I'm so
Alison.
grateful for you. Thank you, Chrissy, for doing this. Thank you for following your intuition. Thank you for letting me do a power hour with you.
Oh my gosh, Alison, you are like, you know, like your car needs an oil change. You are, the power hour is my personal oil change that I need.
Oh, that's so nice. I'm going to use that. I love that. It's like, and that's like what I want it to be, where I'm like, people are always like, I know that you don't know how to describe what the power hour is, and now I don't know. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you what it is, because it's just going to be whatever you need it to be. Like,
for me, that's what it's been. You know, I remember I connected you the first time. Then, you know, a couple months later, I was like, okay, time for another little tune-up, little oil change. And it's like, I know in a couple months I'm going to be calling you again to be like, all right, Alison, let's revisit. And I feel like for me, that has been so valuable. And I do want to, you know, shout it to the rooftops. Like, you know, people, whether you're familiar with Alison in the online space or not, just know this is a person who has a wealth of experience and knowledge, and really, like, I am just so grateful for you, and grateful that you've been able to, you know, all the little pieces of information that you've gathered over the past, you know, not just 20 years, but how old are you? 40?
I turned 42 in November.
Okay, so almost 42. Like, you know, all of the lessons, I feel like you have done such a wonderful job of being able to not just like, okay, take this, but then use it and be able to like spread the wisdom and help people. And even if it's a, you know, a podcast episode that turns into my own personal coaching session.
I'm like, listen, I just talked about myself for a long time. I'm going to make you talk about you.
You're wonderful. Oh my gosh. So at the end of every episode, every guest, I ask them the same 4 questions. Okay.
I love it.
Just a fun little thing. So first question, Alison, first concert you ever been to?
Like, what kind of concert, right? I have 2 answers. First answer is with my family. I think we went to like a Brian Setzer orchestra concert. Do you remember him? Like a big band, like Brian Setzer. Because I remember being really young and being like, "What's that smell?" And it was marijuana.
Where's
I was
the
like,
skunk, Mom?
I was like so intrigued. I was like, "Whoa, people are being naughty. Tell me more," right? Like stoked. And then I went to a pretty early NSYNC concert.
Me
And
too.
guess who opened?
Was it Britney?
It was Britney B.
That was my first concert too. Mine was like 1998. It was.
Yes! Yes!
What a time.
What a wild ride.
What a freaking time. If I go back to my 1998 journal, I wrote about their outfits. I wrote about their songs. That was a good one.
Oh, I love that.
What about your best concert? That is my next question. Best concert.
That is such a good question. I'm like, best in what sense?
I know.
Right?
In what category? If you had to name best in show.
Honestly, it might have been Joanne, but Lady Gaga's tour. So I love concerts because it's a production, it's performance art, which more or less I think is my favorite thing. I just love every aspect of it. And freaking Lady Gaga, man, I respect her so much. She's such an inspiration to me, and her concert was phenomenal. And I went to it right before I got hit, like a week or 2 before I got hit, and all the pictures I took got dead because when I got hit, my phone broke and I lost 4 years of photos.
That is insult to injury right there. That is
Yeah,
horrible.
but it's kind of cool. Like the memories only live in my mind.
Yeah. 4 years. 4 years. Like, somebody who was at that concert and has Allison in the background, send her a picture. Oh my gosh. Okay, next question. Who would you want to play you in a movie? The movie version of Allison's life, who would play you?
No idea. Oh my gosh. I have no idea. I hope a drag queen. Honestly.
Ooh, see, I was thinking like, could it be like a Kristen Wiig character?
Oh gosh,
Or
I would be. Kristen Wiig is a genius.
yes,
I am obsessed with Kristen Wiig. Like, she was
everything
almost one
she
of my
does.
examples that I was going to say, like, what if Kristen Wiig wasn't showing up? Where would the world be, right? Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, God bless them all.
I
RuPaul,
know.
we need
What
them
would
all.
we do without an AI? There's no AI that can do this. There is no AI that can do the RuPaul, that can do the Rachel Dratch, that can do the Amy Poehler. Take that AI.
Wonderful. They're so, but it's funny because I'm like, well, if it's the story of my life, a younger person, yeah, I don't know. I just say a drag queen is probably most appropriate for all phases of my life would be great.
I love it. I love it. Find the drag queen. Last question for you. What have you found at 40?
Peace is the gut response. It's like this sense of like just okay. Like I'm okay.
You're at peace
I'm
with. You
peace.
you don't need
Like,
to be this or be that.
or do or earn or achieve or prove. And I keep saying I'm like I don't think people understand how dangerous this makes me. I don't need to prove and earn. I therefore shall do whatever I want to do. Right?
But
Like
how freeing! How
that's what I
freeing
mean.
that must
That's
be.
what I mean. And so it's like what's a combination of like freedom and peace? It's almost like ease, maybe. I do a word of the year every year over the last like 5 years, and my word this year is steady. And so it might even be that where it's like I don't have to chase the highs and I don't have to go as low into the lows. I still have them, but it's just more manageable.
And I
It's
feel
steady.
like that's the goal. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you don't need to take out any variation, but maybe not be up here and down
Yeah.
here and up here and up here, but just go in the wave. This is if anybody's watching, just kind of like
Yeah.
slightly around the middle.
You know, for me, it's still going to be a bigger bell curve up and down, right? And I'd be bored if it wasn't, and that's okay. But it's not so high, and so low that my safety is an issue, that my ability to find happiness is an issue. There's not as much drama, and it can feel boring, which is like what a lot of addicts say in recovery.
Yeah, they're used to the high, and when you don't have that high, everything feels low, probably.
Yeah. And so it's definitely been an adjustment to allowing a more manageable bell curve. Yeah.
But you're doing it. You're
But
doing
I'm
it.
doing it. She's doing it. Yeah.
Yay, she's
Yeah, go
doing
me.
it. Oh my gosh. Ah, well done. Ah,
Thanks.
Allison, you
Ah.
are a gem. Also, where can everybody find you? All the people who are saying, I need a tune-up. I need the oil changed on my life. Where can the people find you?
Okay, so that's such a good question and something that I'm working on. I am on Instagram, The Allison Show.
1L.
1L. Sometimes I post in stories. I'm working on a new site. I actually am going to be doing, I think, more content on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
And so just go ahead and check there. Now, I'm going to do this whole thing where I don't tell my whole audience I'm on YouTube because it's supposed to help with the algorithm to let people find you naturally. I'll keep you posted, but I will be on YouTube. People can go find me on there if they're YouTube
Yes.
people.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I'm on there right now already, of course. I've been on there for years. But that's where I think I'm going to start creating some content because I haven't done it in a long time. It sounds fun.
And that's where you're at now, is what feels good to you, what's lighting you up. So Alison, you're a freaking gem.
Thank
You're a
you.
gem.
You're a gem. Good job on your podcast.